Good afternoon and welcome. This is wonderful to be gathered in community. Thank you so much for being here. This is our first of 3 mission formation workshops this semester, so I'm very grateful to Lakeisha Thorpe, our Chief Officer for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, who will begin us in this process of being formed in mission this semester in a new way, a time for us to gather and touch back into relationship and into conversation, and really interior reflection. It's our hope that this workshop is a space for you to think back over the last 5-7 weeks and really curate what happened, what's happening in my own interior life and in my experience at Chestnut Hill College. We're going to begin in prayer with a song called The Medicine, which I found recently. A friend from Portland, Oregon, actually sent it to me via Spotify. So the song is called The Medicine. And I believe it's a good way for us to begin and to quiet our minds and hearts to prepare ourselves for this conversation about building inclusive community.
There's a sickness here that threatens to divide us, and we're all afraid to say its name out loud. Lord, I know that you can heal us of this virus, so we need you right now. There's a darkness here that's dangerous and aggressive. It's getting harder every day to shake its power. But Lord, I know that you can free us from oppression. So we need you right now. 'Cause we don't know what to do, so we'll turn our eyes to you. And we've run out of words to say, but if you come and have your way, you can save us from ourselves. Before our wounds hurt someone else, we need you now. What does it mean to have compassion for another? How can I claim the love of God that I can't see? If I can find the will to harm and kill my brother, 'cause he neglected to look like me. And I can speak the words of men and songs of angels. I can give all my possessions to the poor. But if your love can't move the mountains of my hatred, somehow I missed you, and I need you so much more. 'Cause I don't know what to do, so I'll turn my eyes to you. And I've run out of words to say. You can come and have your way. Would you save me from myself before my wounds hurt someone else? I need you now. Yeah. Because we don't know what to do, so we'll turn our eyes to you. And we've run out of words to say. You can come and have your way. Will you save us from ourselves? For our wounds hurt someone else. We need you now. We need you now. We need you now. We need you now. We need you now, Lord. We need you now, Lord. We need you now. We need you now. We need you now. We need your healing. We need your healing. We need your never be free. And if you don't change us, we'll never be better. We need you now. We need you now. Lord, we need you. Lord, we need you now.
And so with that framework of needing healing, I'm asking everyone to just think for one moment of something that has hardened your heart recently. Something that's a weight or a worry in your heart. Something that prevents you from connecting with another person or being your fullest self in community. We ask you, loving God, to be with us, to heal us, and to help us be a community of hope and greater openness to one another. And so we move forward into this conversation, confident in your transforming love, that we will leave this space of reflection better and ready to do your good work. Amen. Dr. Thorpe, thank you so much. Well, come on up.
I was so into the reflection. I was like, wait, what, who, me? Oh. I'm so grateful to have all of you here. Some of you are required to be here. Some of you are in my class, so I'm glad you're here. Some of you just want to be here because it feels like a good thing to do, and I much appreciate that. I am really happy to talk to you about just relationships and inclusive community. Something in the refrain of the song, there are two things that really just stuck out to me. One was healing. You know, I think we all know that so much has happened, not just over the last 2 years, but so much has happened. Healing is something we truly need. And another thing that I heard was change. You know, the singer asking the Lord to change him and to change us. We don't get better lest we change. We don't get better lest we actually state the problem and start to understand what it is and then start to figure out what that next move is. What is going to heal us? What is going to change us? What is going to make us better? What is going to make us have just relationships and an inclusive community? So just to go over what we're going to talk about and what we're going to do, we're going to talk about these connections. We're going to talk about why it's important to do these things. We're going to talk about why this is not just lip service and how it can actually be helpful. I want to talk about how we're being intentional and not performative. If we just say something but don't do something, we're not actually doing anything. So this work is meaning for us to move forward and to move, okay? You might laugh a little bit, and my hope is that you do feel uncomfortable at some point. And my hope is that when you do, you lean into it, because my desire is for you to learn. Of course, we're always going to be respectful. I like to be informal. We have a pretty big group, but if you have a burning question while I'm presenting, please raise your hand. I'd love to engage with you further. And then just remain open. Again, when you feel that spot when you're like, I don't really know about this. This feels weird. I'm uncomfortable. I don't love what she just said. Take a deep breath and lean a little further in. Can you promise me that you will at least do that for the next 35, 40 minutes? Okay? So when I spoke with Jackie about doing these presentations and thinking about this, we started talking about doing just relationships and an inclusive community. These are things that were coming up. And once again, like I said, there's something about talking the talk, but it's also what's the action behind that. So I thought about what do these words actually mean? So when we look at just or think about justice, I love this little thing, we start seeing that being fair, reasonable, it's how we behave, it's being moral, it's being correct. Just or justice are really synonymous with those behaviors. Then we look at relationship, the state of being connected. We are all in relationship with one another, not just because we're in this room, but because we're all affiliated with Chestnut Hill College. Because this is the community that we inhabit, we have a relationship. Now, the relational identity some of us have titles that can't fit on a business card. Some of us are students. Some of us are just here. But it doesn't matter because we share this community together, which means we all have equal agency in this community, and we all want to see it flourish, or at least that's my hope. So that relationship that we share, that state of being, the behaviors that we inhabit, our culture together, this is what starts to form the definition of a just relationship. But then I went a little further. If you remember Miss Gorman from the inauguration, when she read her poem, this line stuck with me instantly. Instantly I remembered it. And the norms and the notions of what just isn't always justice. Our founding fathers of this country put some laws and policies and procedures together, and they said, that's freedom, that's justice. It did not include me. It's not justice. And those difficulties are things we deal with today. They are now structural, which is why we're having these conversations. So really, what someone thinks of justice isn't always justice, and what just isn't always justice, which is why we have to push forward for change. It's why we have to come together and really start to think, well, what makes sense for not me, not just you, not just her, not just him, but for all of us? And then that's when I realized we had to go deeper. So a just relationship altogether, it's dealing with that form connection. Okay, it's making sure that we're looking at the complexities of society. Again, what works for me might not work for you, and at some point we have to ask why. And start thinking about what we can do to bring that together and to make it different. That's what a community does. It moves together. It moves in sync. And if we're not thinking about how the rules are affecting other people, then we're not thinking correctly. And then we need to be co-participants. We cannot just sit on the sidelines and watch. It's why I do the work I do is because I couldn't sit down and watch injustices anymore, inequities, the imbalances in our society. It was too much for me. I could not be a spectator. So these are the things that are going to contribute to a just relationship. But again, there's more than that because it needs to be inclusive. So we start breaking this down. And for those of you that were with me when we did the mission orientation, we talked about inclusion. So we're going to talk a little deeper. It's that considered effort towards providing equitable access and opportunities and resources. We can have all the things in the world, but only if half of us feel able to touch those things, then we're not being inclusive. It's not working. It needs to be for everyone. We cannot let people be marginalized in any capacity. I don't care what it's based on, relational identity, actual identity, the color of your skin, what you eat, what money you make, who you love. No one can be left out on the outskirts because that's what a community is, right? It's bringing those people in and it's having that space and realizing our commonality starts here. We're all here at Chestnut Hill College, and then we go from that point. We all follow the mission. We understand the mission. In my WCHC, I have a few students I saw sprinkled around here. First thing we talked about were the core values. How do those, see, you're nodding your head. How do those match up with how I feel? And since you could bring that, you could understand, I understand these core values move me, then as a community, we move with them. And we talk about and think about each other. So if we look at inclusive community, it's engaging everyone. It's hearing everyone. And it's understanding that because we are open, because we are listening, because we are bringing in other people and other ideas, then we have to accept some resemblance of change because we have to include everyone. We have to push ourselves that extra step. We have to make sure that voices are heard, action is taken. It's respecting everyone. It's giving them, again, access to everything. And if we're thinking about this within the realm of just relationships, again, it's that connection. And it's the behavior. It's not just saying it, it's doing it. And I can't stress enough how important that is. If you know me, you know I love Star Wars. So I couldn't resist. And right here, you'll see I did a little thing here. Justice, equity, diversity, inclusion. That spells Jedi. Here's the thing. When I say these things about inclusive relationships and just relationships and inclusive community, it sounds very big. And it's like, well, how can we do that? And then there may be some sitting back saying, do we really need all that? Let me give you an instance of where it actually makes sense. This right here, this is Ahsoka Tano. It's Rosario Dawson playing Ahsoka Tano. This is my favorite character in the Star Wars universe. And I'm going to explain why. Ahsoka Tano, as you see, she has 2 lightsabers. She is unique. She is talented and extremely gifted in the ways of the Jedi. She is one of the few who, as a Padawan, was able to go on really great different adventures and really make change in the galaxy. Her master, Anakin Skywalker, felt very comfortable letting her do these things, giving her missions. Obi-Wan gave her things to do because they knew she was powerful and they knew what she could accomplish. Still, even with all that excitement, even with them knowing how good she was, there were some things that she wanted to do that furthered the mission, that the Jedis were completely committed to, but they didn't agree with her. And because they didn't agree with her, what eventually happened is Ahsoka Tano leaves. She leaves Coruscant, she doesn't stay, she doesn't become a full Jedi in their eyes. Right after she leaves, and this is sort of not the same thing, it just kind of happened. After she leaves, her master, Anakin Skywalker, goes along with Order 66, gets rid of all the young Padawans in not a very nice manner, and becomes Darth Vader. Ahsoka Tano goes on to take on the secret alias of Fulcrum and launches the biggest resistance in the galaxy to fight her former master, to fight the Empire, and to make a dent in all the evil that they were trying to do. But imagine if the Jedi would have listened to Ahsoka Tano. Imagine if the Jedi would have brought her further into the fold and let her be who she wanted to be. She wanted change. She knew it was necessary, but they let her go. We don't want unique, talented, vibrant, intelligent students, faculty, or staff going anywhere. We want them here. So this is just an example of keeping people close and what that really means and how it can be life-altering. It's opening up and being inclusive and hearing everything and thinking, how does this benefit the community? Not just me. How does it affect me? Well, maybe I don't like it, but how does it move the community? And if it doesn't, then why does someone think that it should? How can we implement it? Maybe it's not right, but we must have the conversations. We must let people know that they are heard. This is when the work starts. All of you, this is when the work starts. I have reflection questions that I'd like us to go over, and at your tables, I'd like you to start to discuss these. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes, I'll prompt you, but I want you to start thinking about, as you answer these, what's been going on over the last 5 to 7 weeks or so since we've been back together on campus, what we're thinking, how we're interacting, who we've been interacting with, and what we've been doing. Keep all of that present and go through these questions. So this first one, how are you embodying just relationships and ensuring an inclusive community? I will ask for a report out, so I'll ask to hear from a few people, but I want to give you some time to think about this in your individual table groups. And I'll walk around and teacher you a little bit, but talk. Okay, what do you have to report out? I love it. I love that the conversation is flowing, but let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. I would love to hear from a table or two. What conversation were you having? Table in the back. Let's bring it back. I love this. I love this energy, but we have 4 more questions. So give me a table. Somebody raise a hand. I'll come get you if I need to. Please. Involving people. And by involving people, how else have we been ensuring inclusive community? If you have more, you could say more. Someone else. Don't leave her on her own. What else?
We talked about embracing diversity and being in a new space. When previously were and we just kind of activating to the new and embracing it instead of
all that. So embracing the new, not being standoffish, allowing that to come in and permeate our spaces. That's what's wonderful. Give me one more report out. How have we been inclusive? How have we been ensuring that? All right, Adam, they made me do it. Just trying to do new things, have new experiences. What's one area of growth for CHC? Within the realm of inclusivity, within the realm of just relationships, what's one area of growth? One where we can go that we can have more of what we're talking about. And I'm gonna get you started, talk in your groups, and then we'll report out again. There, operate right here.
Just have like a couple more options for people that like can eat that stuff.
So culinarily inclusive is what we're talking about. We like. I'm not. That's not a joke. That's not a joke. Yeah, that's an actual thing. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's hear from somewhere over here. Lord knows I don't need it, so you guys can keep it.
So basically when we were talking, I said that I feel like our college is too, like, I don't even know what I said. Okay, we're too divided. I basically feel like, I feel like we're too divided. I feel like everybody is, I feel like we're too divided. I feel like everybody is basically, you're either in a group or you play a sport. So it's either you're going to be in your club or you're in your sport or you just have your one friend and that's it. I do feel like if it's not between a sport or a club, I feel like basically we're divided by race, if I'm being honest. I feel like you have whites and then I feel like you have blacks and we're just all excluded to ourselves. I do feel like my past 3 years being here, we have gotten more black people, and I feel like even though Chestnut Hill is a predominantly white school, I do feel like that y'all have gotten more black people here, and it is a little more comfortable, but I do think that the school more so tends to dedicate their time and efforts more so to the white kids, if I'm being honest, but I do think that we have a chance to get together and be better if like, I know like some years, one year we had like a little formal, we had little parties and stuff like that. And I know that it's COVID, so we wouldn't have that now, but that was the only time where we felt together and as one and that we were equal, was when we all could have a good time, come together and enjoy ourselves. But other than that, I feel like everybody is just off to themselves and everybody is just in some type of group or club, and that's it.
I think it's a really deep reflection, and I think that's something we need to hear. What I think is important about that, here's what I want to share. From a DEI perspective, here's what I want to share. I work with leadership at this institution, and I can tell you that from the leadership's perspective, you are all important. Now, how you feel is completely valid, and I want to address that as well. But from the leadership's perspective, you're all important. I can tell you from a DEI perspective, I'm in conversations with my colleagues about making us more diverse in other areas of the institution and what that actually means. So that's not unnoticed that you feel that way, because you're not the first student to express that to me. So I want you to know that you were heard, is basically what I'm saying right now. And that I've taken note of that in particularly. If you haven't felt that before, know it now. So that's thing one. Thing two, I love the idea, and I haven't been here to see that, to have a formal or an event or something where the entire institution comes together. I didn't even know that that was a thing. I love it. Like just a formal event, everybody got, put up and put out and went out. I think that's amazing. So of course, COVID is a barrier and it does make things difficult this year, and hopefully that won't be the case much longer, but I think that those are valid things, doing things in the spirit of unity. Now, when it comes to clubs, we want people to have their individuality and have their identity and be able to express themselves, but we don't want them to silo all of you either. So I hear that, and that's here. I hear that, thank you. I would love to hear another comment. Fight for it. Who am I fighting with?
He was in the military, I'm not asking. Building on that concept, we were thinking a lot about student spaces, engagement spaces around campus, and thinking about sort of like opportunities to sort of think of spaces in different ways. Lounges, areas, like how can we make them more inviting? How can we activate those spaces? How can we create opportunities for discussion, for engagement in very specific ways, and also in kind of more broad, open ways?
So I had the pleasure of being here with Mackenzie, who's a student, and Mackenzie's saving her voice. She has a singing engagement later, so she asked me to speak. Right? But Mackenzie mentioned orientation as a new student and felt that it was a missed opportunity, essentially sitting for a number of hours and being talked to and lectured to, where she felt there was a missed opportunity in terms of the engagement. There was also a comment made in terms of, it appeared that the athletes were able to engage with each other at a much quicker rate. And ideally, we can understand why in terms of being able to identify commonalities, where if you're not an athlete and you're coming from different places, that ability or the speed at which you're able to engage and understand, takes a little bit longer. So felt that the orientation could have been far more interactive as opposed to what you're going to experience in the classroom in terms of the lecture. Didn't think that the orientation was a good representation or good opportunity that was presented as someone new to Chestnut Hill College. My name's Troy Miller. I'm here about 2.5 months, and I serve as the Vice President for Enrollment Management here at the college.
Thank you so much. I agree. When we look at our athletes, and there are many of you, I know some of you are here, there are many of you here, athletes are on campus for about 2 weeks before the rest of you come for orientation. So they've already had that opportunity to start to gel and start to make friends and get close. So I'm sure as freshmen, when you come on, it's like, okay, well now, how do I do that? Where's my friend group? Everybody else looks a lot more comfortable. I think I agree with you. As someone who was at orientation and who presented, I'd love to see a little bit more interaction. It's, again, a conversation that we've had. So once more, just as I was speaking to this student that was over here at this table, I want you to know you were heard. And it's something that I've actually been thinking and we've been talking about. Jackie and I have had conversations on that. So we hear you. I want to get to I would love to hear so much more, but we have 3 more questions and I want to make sure we get to at least 3 of them. So I'm going to move on to this next one. In the last 3 weeks, what's one conversation you ran from? One time when you were like, nope, not doing it. What's one conversation you ran from? And let's consider why you ran from it, okay? So get that started in your groups. Okay, in the last 3 weeks, what's one conversation you ran from and why? Who likes to report out? Who wants to do it? All right. No, you were carrying us too long. You gotta do a break. All right, let's give our attention to Cheery.
Hi. So a conversation I don't like to talk about or I don't go into is politics, because some people are going to agree with what you say and some people are going to disagree, and I just don't like getting into conflicts with people about things that clearly I'm not the president of the United States. I just don't feel like we should talk about it, so.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Here's the thing about conflicts and not agreeing. It's okay. It's okay to not agree. It's okay to say, I have a different view from you. We don't share the same perspective. And it's okay to walk away and say, we agree to disagree. It's not okay to be disrespectful. And too many times we allow the I don't agree with you to become disrespectful. And therein lies the problem. Having conflict is healthy. Being different is okay. If different wasn't okay, I would not have a job, and that would be sad. So it's okay to disagree. But I hear what you're saying because the conflict and the negative energy is uncomfortable. It's very difficult to manage that. But I want to sort of give you agency to know that it's okay to disagree with someone, but it is not okay for them to disrespect you. So that's where we have to manage our balance. Others who'd like to weigh in on this particular question. Come on now. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love your nails.
Thank you. So one thing I noticed since getting here, I mean, it is a Catholic school, but I have been asked about religion a couple times by people who seemed very passionate about it, and I don't want to like have a discussion about it, like why I feel a certain way and like my morals and all that. So usually I'll just agree with whatever they say. Like if they're like, "Oh, are you Christian?" I'll be like, "Yeah," because I don't want to get into it.
First of all, I really do love your nails. I just wanted to say that again. Don't let anybody push you into a box. Do not let anybody push you into a box. If you don't want to have a particular conversation, you have agency to say, that's not something I want to discuss. It's okay. It is okay to walk away. It is okay to disagree. It is okay to be respectful, but you also don't have to engage. If someone is asking you something that makes you uncomfortable, that makes me uncomfortable. I'd rather not discuss it. That's my business. My spirituality is my thing. There are a million different ways you could say it. Go. You don't have to have that conversation. Does anyone else want to engage on this one? I'm coming to you. Getting my steps in today.
So I'm a grad student, and I had a class on culture and gender, and we were talking about cultural appropriation, and particularly regarding African American hairstyles and braids and other people using or wearing those styles. And I kind of avoided the question. I guess for me, I was one of two other African Americans in the class, and the other person doesn't really talk. So I kind of felt the pressure to speak up on behalf of my race. And I just couldn't do it at the time. It's just always being the person to speak up for your race can be a lot. You know, I want to help, I want to be a voice of unity, but it can be a lot.
I cannot tell you how many times I've been the Black person in the room, and I have been like the entire continent of Africa. Because I was alone, and it's like, I'll raise my hand again, I guess I'll be the one to be the Black people for all of us. It's a heavy burden. And for those of us who have been marginalized historically, to have to continuously defend and talk and explain and give, after a while, you're just like, I'm so tired. Yeah, not today. Can you get Google or something? Can you learn somewhere else today? It's exhausting. It truly is. And I think it's important to note that, and just to the actual topic that was being discussed, the appropriation of hairstyles, I'm like, okay, if you want to do the braids or the dreads or whatever, if you want to commit to that, but know what it means. Know what it's about. Know why it is and what it is and how it is. Not just because you happen to be in, Cancun for the weekend. It has to have some meaning behind it, and I think it's important to note that. All right, we're doing well here. We're doing well. I think we can eke out one more. Actually, I want you to do the last one. This one's more important to me. What are you leaving with today, and what will you take forward? I think that's a really important question for us to ask as we're together right now. Okay, that wraps our reflection on question 5. Who wants to report out? I'm going to the back because I have students back here.
What I'm leaving here with today is to make sure that I know that to be like around people is probably the most important. And what I'm taking forward is to expand my horizons and to make sure I get involved with everything else.
In our class, I gave our students the 30-day challenge, and Matthew said, I'm going to get up every day at 6 a.m. because I want to be ready. I want to do work. I want to study. I want to have quiet time. It's working. He's doing it. So I'm saying you have plenty of time to expand those horizons because you're up like 4 hours before everybody else. And I love it. What else? Who else would like to report out on this very important question?
Thank you. We were saying that what we were leaving with today was, connected to Michaela's comment and how useful it was to hear that, but also trying to reconcile that with some of the comments from over there about not wanting to have certain difficult political conversations, and just trying to think in a way about how to make us feel emboldened and empowered to have productive, meaningful conversations, because to my mind, otherwise the silos will never really go away. And, Sister Catherine pointed out that everybody felt, the students in particular, really shared today, and we felt that that was amazing, and we were so grateful that they feel comfortable and safe to share with us. But at the same time, if that is the end of the conversation, if there's no conversation after the sharing, where do we go? The community building is in the conversation. And so that's what we were thinking about here.
I agree with you in the sense that this is the foundation to the next step. I said earlier in this presentation, talking without action is doing nothing. So now what are we going to do? And I've been thinking, and I have a really great idea if COVID would just mind its business. Anybody else would like to report out on this? Please.
All right, so I had basically told her that before coming here, for us, it was just like getting service hours. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't want to come here. I was sitting here doing my homework and everything, just, chiming in here and there. But at the end of it, I will say that leaving here, I'm going to take with me that everybody basically has a voice. I think that we should all be mindful what we do, ask each other and say to each other. From when she said that she didn't want to talk about her religion or anything of this sort, I do feel like some things are personal with some people. So I feel like just be mindful with everybody. Yeah, I feel like that's pretty much it.
Just be mindful. It's not that hard to do, to think about another person. And I agree with you, just how we're speaking to each other, we have to be careful. An inclusive community means we all feel welcomed, we all feel able, we all feel like we can reach for what's out there for us and what's here. And it's important that we all have that. For me, what I'm taking away are the comments from our students. I got you. I'm thinking about you. I want to make it clear to you that I'm in 331 upstairs. If you have these thoughts or these things are happening, or you just want someone to hear what you have to say, my position is literally there to hear you. That's what I'm here for. When I started the interview process at CHC, which most of you actually in the room either weren't working here or weren't at this college, so you wouldn't know that. But when I started the interview process, one of the things I said that was important to me was amplifying student voices, giving all of you agency. Because the truth of the matter is this: if our students are not happy, and if our students go home, then the rest of us are in big trouble. We have to listen to what you have to say. We have to figure it out. So I am extremely grateful for those students who shared today, for my colleagues who shared. I'm just so grateful that you were all here. I hope that you do find things like this helpful, and that you do attend again in the future, even if it's not required. Even if you do your homework in the back, we don't mind. I just want to see you here, because I want you to know that I actually care about you getting from this step to crossing the stage at graduation and feeling like your time here has been enhanced and that it's done something for you. So I'm grateful for you. I'm in 331. Thank you very much, Jackie.
Keisha, thank you so, so much. I also just want to, I recognize I didn't introduce myself to those who I haven't met yet personally in the beginning. My name is Jacqueline Nunes, and I'm the Chief Officer for Mission and Ministry. I want to announce too our upcoming presenters in this series this semester. Sister Kathy Nerney will be presenting in October, and we'll do a workshop together, a walk for nonviolence, where we'll start here and we'll be moving around the campus. And then Suzanne Del Gizzo will be our November presenter, talking about holistic education. And your voices are wanted and needed in those spaces in October and November as well. Thank you very, very much, and let the conversations continue. If you're in here for any passport stamps, Anna Ryan, Director of Campus Ministry, is by the front door. And anyone wants to continue the conversation, I'm going to stay up here. So have a good day. Thank you.
You have to say that.